After his grandmother's passing, Bradley discovered a peculiar metallic globe of the moon among her belongings. She had never mentioned it, yet it felt like a relic of her hidden past. Intrigued by its mystery, he placed it in his living room as a sentimental keepsake. One evening, his friend Julia, a NASA scientist specializing in lunar studies, spotted the globe and froze. Her expression shifted to shock as she stepped closer, running her fingers lightly over its surface. "This can't be real," she murmured, her voice trembling. "What do you mean?" Bradley asked, confused by her reaction. Julia's gaze remained fixed on the globe. "I've never seen one of these outside of classified files," she muttered. "Was your grandmother involved in space science?" Bradley frowned, genuinely puzzled. "I don't know. She might have been," he admitted. His family had never discussed her past, especially after dementia strained their relationship. When Bradley picked up the globe, Julia's face went pale. "Julia, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "It's just," she started, then abruptly grabbed her coat. "I need to go. I'll explain tomorrow," she said hurriedly before rushing out the door. Bradley stood in silence, clutching the globe. Julia's reaction left him reeling. What could make a scientist so shaken? He stared at the artifact, its metallic sheen gleaming under the light. Whatever secrets it held, he was determined to uncover them. As the door slammed shut, Bradley stood in silence, still trying to make sense of Julia's strange exit. He looked down at the globe sitting quietly on the coffee table, almost mocking his confusion. Determined to uncover its secrets, he decided to search his grandmother's attic. The attic was a mess, dusty and full of boxes piled everywhere. He flicked on the light and began sifting through everything. Old photos, letters, and random trinkets she had saved over the years. It took what felt like forever, and he was about to give up when his hand hit something unusual, a small leather-bound journal tucked under a stack of books. The writing inside was neat, totally his grandmother's style. The entries went back decades. As Bradley flipped through the pages, he became absorbed in his grandmother's past until one particular entry, written around the time of the Apollo moon landing, caught his eye. It was short and cryptic. "The globe will show more than what you see, coordinates to something hidden." Bradley's heart raced. He rushed back home with the journal and examined the globe under better light. That's when he noticed something he had missed before: tiny numbers and letters, almost hidden, mixed into the design. They looked like coordinates. What if this globe actually led to something significant that his grandmother had purposely hidden? Bradley was too excited to wait until tomorrow. He dialed Julia's number, hoping she'd pick up despite the late hour. After a few tense rings, she answered, sounding cautious. "Julia, you need to come over first thing tomorrow," Bradley said, his voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. "I found something in my grandma's journal about the globe. There are coordinates hidden on it." There was a long pause on the line. Then Julia's voice came through, now filled with curiosity. "I knew there was something about that globe. Sorry I left so abruptly." They hung up, setting plans for the morning. Bradley barely slept that night, his mind racing with possibilities. The next day, Julia arrived with her laptop and some other gear to analyze the globe more thoroughly. They spent the morning examining every inch of it, Julia using her equipment to enhance the faint engravings. "Why would my grandmother have something like this?" Bradley pondered aloud. Julia shrugged, her eyes never leaving the globe. "Maybe she was part of something bigger, something secret," she suggested. Julia eventually had to take the globe to her lab. She packed it with great care, promising Bradley she'd keep him updated every step of the way. Early the next morning, Julia texted Bradley, "Got the globe to work safely. No one noticed." Bradley felt a mix of relief and curiosity. Julia, now immersed in her day at NASA, was the keeper of a secret they barely understood. Stuck at home, Bradley felt restless and useless. Determined to uncover more, he texted Julia to keep him in the loop and set out for his grandmother's house. The drive was short, and soon he was climbing the attic stairs again. Knee-deep in old photo albums and letters, his phone buzzed against the wooden floor. As he saw the screen, he hesitated. It wasn't Julia. An unknown number flashed, stirring a wave of unease. Who could it be, and why now? With a slight tremor in his hand, Bradley tapped the answer button. "Hello," he said cautiously, his voice echoing in the attic. Silence lingered for a moment, then a voice replied, familiar yet strangely urgent. "Bradley, we need to talk." His heart skipped a beat. Who was this, and what did they know about the globe, or his grandmother? The number was local but unfamiliar. He answered hesitantly, his gut twisting with a sense of foreboding. "Hello." The voice on the other end was polite yet firm, sending a chill down his spine. "This is Agent Sterling from NASA Security. We need to talk about an item recently found in your possession." Bradley's heart sank. How on earth did they know about the globe? "We should meet in person," Agent Sterling suggested. They agreed to meet the next day at a local cafe. As the call ended, Bradley stared at his phone in disbelief. Shaken, he immediately texted Julia about the conversation. That night, he tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Julia hadn't replied to his texts, and his mind raced with possibilities. Morning came too quickly. At the cafe, Bradley immediately spotted Agent Sterling, a lone figure in a dark black suit, standing out among the casual crowd. Their conversation was all business. "We need you to turn over the globe to NASA," Sterling stated firmly. Bradley's response was just as resolute. "I can't do that." Sterling's demeanor hardened. "You have 2 days to reconsider," he said, unimpressed by Bradley's claim that the globe was no longer in his possession. Bradley nodded, pretending to consider it, but his mind raced with worry about how to navigate this tight situation without the globe in his hands. Leaving the cafe, the stress of the meeting clung to him like a second skin. Finally, his phone rang. It was Julia. Her voice was laced with genuine worry. "Bradley, I've been questioned by NASA security," she confessed. "They took the globe by force." Bradley's heart sank. Not only was the globe out of their reach, but their situation had just become significantly more complicated. They met later that day in a secluded park, far from the bustling streets. It was obvious now, they were involved in something far bigger than they had imagined. Together, they sketched out a risky plan: infiltrate NASA under the guise of cooperating while secretly gathering data. Bradley contacted Agent Sterling, feigning a willingness to comply. "We're ready to discuss the globe," he said over the phone. Sterling took the bait, inviting them to a secure NASA facility for a meeting. The tension between Bradley and Julia was palpable as they walked through heavy security at the facility. Inside a secure room, the globe sat surrounded by sophisticated measuring equipment, softly humming. As they pretended to inspect the setup, Julia skillfully slipped a tiny device from her pocket and began discreetly extracting data. Meanwhile, Bradley struck up a conversation with Agent Sterling, hoping to gather any information about the globe's history. "I just want to understand my grandmother's connection to all this," he said, trying to break through Sterling's professional exterior. There was a pause, and then Bradley noticed a subtle shift in the agent's expression. "Your grandmother is a legend around here," Sterling finally admitted, his voice tinged with warmth. Bradley was taken aback. A legend? What had his grandmother done to earn such recognition? As he processed this revelation, Julia gave a subtle nod from across the room, signaling success. She had what they came for. With a subtle nod from Julia, Bradley quickly wrapped up the conversation with Sterling, and they left the NASA facility. As they entered the living room, they felt a mix of relief and anticipation about what they might discover. Once inside, Julia pulled out her laptop and connected the device she had used at NASA. She had taken covert photos of the coordinates displayed on the globe and was eager to see what the data revealed. The globe was more than just a model. It was a storage device, a sophisticated spherical USB packed with data. A pop-up on Julia's laptop indicated that transferring the data would take about an hour. "Let's check out those coordinates while we wait," Julia suggested, pulling up the images she'd snapped of the globe's surface. Bradley and Julia sat close to the laptop, examining the tiny numbers and letters on the mysterious globe. Julia managed to pinpoint the coordinates to a rarely mentioned location on the moon. "What's so special about this spot?" Bradley asked, confused. As Julia opened file after file on her laptop, it became clear that the data was heavily encrypted. Each folder was like a lockbox, hiding something significant. "Your grandmother may have been trying to reveal NASA's secret missions," Julia said, her voice tense. Bradley's heart skipped a beat. His grandmother, the quiet woman he thought he knew, was tied to secrets bigger than he could imagine. Before they could process it all, a sudden knock at the door startled them. Bradley peeked outside to see Agent Sterling, a figure he recognized from local government events. Sterling entered, his gaze landing on the open laptop. His stern expression revealed that he understood the gravity of their discovery. "This information is critical to NASA," he said firmly. "You'll both need to sign a non-disclosure agreement." Reluctantly, Bradley agreed. "I just wanted to learn about my grandmother," he admitted. Julia was later assigned to study the globe as NASA's lead scientist. Though her role gave her access to advanced tools, much of the truth stayed hidden. Meanwhile, Bradley and his mother uncovered more of his grandmother's space-related belongings, leaving him to wonder just how deep her connection to the stars truly went.